Welcome to Grumpy John's Garage. Another cold but beautiful sunny day here in Fort William. Today we're going to fit this bit of cardboard. It is the Jeep firewall sound deadening pad. The black side goes to the inside of the Jeep, and so the cardboard side goes up against the firewall. Firewall is held on with domed, slotted bolts and a clip. The clips go on the inside. Before we fit the firewall, I'm going to fit the foot starter switch. That is held on with a flat slotted bolt with a nut and a spring washer. Also, it gets a gasket. So we'll use the first of the gaskets out of my kit. I just bought the rubber gasket set. I bought it years ago, and this is the one I prefer instead of the cork. None of this was on my Jeep when I got it. I'm just going by Team G503. I'm just following Team G503 on YouTube. He's got a more in-depth fitting of the wiring loom. I'm not going to go wire by wire. So this part of the button goes to the inside of the Jeep, but it goes through the floor. But first you need to put your gasket on. Come on down and I'll show you. This little hole is the foot starter switch. This is the foot starter switch. Now, I have had time to think. Remember, I couldn't figure out what the two holes were. That one there's the clutch. Then we've got the steering column. Completely forgot about that one. Then we've got the brake pedal. And then this wee hole here, that's for the throttle. Completely forgot about them. Anyway, you can hear the rescue helicopter flying about in the background. Right, I wonder if I should just take that out. I think I'll take the gearbox access cover off. Now the gearbox access cover's been removed, I've got my nuts and bolts in the wee box. I'll just put a wee bit of tape on it so someone knows what they are. Right, I've got my foot starter switch, I've got my gasket, and I've got my nuts and bolts. Now, whether they go from the top or the bottom, I would think that they would go from the top downwards. It would look better inside the Jeep. When is this good weather going to come instead of having cold hands? Still, I'm enjoying myself. The nut is a 3/16. And that's it installed. What we're going to do next, I think we'll put the firewall pad in, get that so that we can start putting wiring in. Now let me take you up again. As you see the junk in the top here, precious junk. This is stuff I got. It's, I think it's asphalt or something they call it. It's basically a shielding for going over the wiring. This is for the large wiring, and then you've got different thicknesses of thin stuff. Now, I'm going to be putting that maybe from the toe board backwards, and then out to like the tail lights and to the fuel tank sender, stuff like that. Any bits that are underneath the Jeep, I'm going to put this in. But as for coming out the firewall and from that switch we've just fitted, it'll be from below that. I'm not going to do it up in the firewall, but I bought that anyway just to use. The switch that I fitted is a Durite, and the part number is 0-335-50. Foot starter switch, foot operated, 100 amp. So that's the one I got. I think I got it off one of the Jeep websites anyway. Right, as you can see, I've got two bags here. What I've done, I've went through my wiring loom and I've split it up. If you want to see what's in the contents of these bags, I done basically like an unboxing, but I took all the bits out and showed you what you get in the kit. So this is a kit. It's an MV Spares, but I got it from, I think it was Dallas Auto Parts I got it from. I can't actually remember. So what I've done, I've split it up to stuff that I'm going to use in the bulkhead. So all the wiring for the bulkhead. The stuff that's in here is like tail lights and bits and pieces I'm not going to use for now. I've had this for years, this little kit. And I've just noticed one of them's broken. But it actually comes with wiring. So you hear that helicopter? That's a Coast Guard rescue helicopter. That's the one. We've got 2 different rescue helicopters here. And that's the main one you see flying about. We've also got an air ambulance, comes and flies in this area as well. As you can see, that's the floor starter switch fitted. Vroom, vroom. I love the helicopters, but let's get back to this. So wiring them split up to useful parts at the moment, parts that I'll use eventually on the back. Right. Double tail light kit, headlamp harness. I've not got the fender's wings, I've not got them on, so I don't need them now. All that bits and pieces, the blackout lights and headlamp, individual harness sets, all that sort of stuff. They're all getting left in another bag until I need them. As I was saying, this kit here, broken. It's probably years of getting moved about. My kit comes with one. All I need to do is put the bulbs in it, and that's it. It does actually look like a better wire anyway. It's not even the right colour. You can see the thickness. Bulb holder's different. Let's take the bulb out. So with these, you've got to, instead of trying to force the bulb in and pushing down the contact, it's actually easier. Hold the socket with your fingers like that and then pull the wire with your other hand and lock it with your other couple of fingers and then put it in, twist the bulb in and it goes in, let it go, and that's it. That's the easiest way because the spring inside's really hard. And we'll chuck them in the never ever getting used pile, but we'll keep a hold of it. So how these get fitted, they go in to the holes in the Jeep, them 2 holes. And what they are they're like dash lights. And so you can see the clocks, because the clocks and the dials, the speedo, they don't have internal lights in them. So that's what they're for. They point down towards the dash so that you can see them in the dark and they're not too bright. So it's pointing down the way instead of back the way. So if they were on, you couldn't see them from behind. You could only see down the way. If you had lights in the dials, you could see them from behind. It's in 2 parts. That part goes on first, onto the dash. You feed your cable through. Then you've got this one here. You can see it's got a smaller hole. That's how your light goes in. And then when that's on the dash, you just feed that into that. Quite awkward, right enough. You just do a wee finger at a time. And basically that's it. And then there's only one connection because it gets earthed through this. Right, I think this is the first thing I'll put on the dash. So that's them fitted now. As you can see, they are adjustable, so you can turn it and use it as a map light. So if your passenger needs to turn it to use it for the map light, you can turn it. That's why they were designed like that, so you can use them, adjust them. So if you wanted them on the temperature and the oil, you could turn it so it's more on that, and that's why. But that's them in. Wire just hanging. That'll get on soon. As you know, we do have a panel light switch, so that'll get fitted wherever it goes. And we've got the handy chart. So that one goes there. So your panel light goes in this one, your throttle cable goes in there, then your choke cable goes in here. That there is for the ignition switch. And this one here is for your light switch. And then you've got the wee one up here, and that's for the blackout light, which is the same size as that. Next thing we're going to do is fit the firewall sound deadening pad. Usually you could do this with 2 people, it'd be so much easier, but I'm on my Jack Jones, so I'm going to have to try and do it myself. So luckily I've taken the gearbox cover access off, so I'll stretch and I'll get the nuts and bolts, I'll do it. So how this is kept on is these little clips as I showed you earlier. So you've got your hole there, then your bolt goes through from the outside to the inside, and it just catches that. So basically all you've got to do is feed it through the hole on the firewall side, then through, and then just get that on a couple of threads, and you'll be able to tighten it from the outside, and it'll tighten quite quickly. And it doesn't tear through, because if you were to use a nut and a bolt, it would just tear through that. Now, the firewall pad goes on like this here. This cutout here is for the handbrake mount that's underneath the dash. It goes across the way. What they've designed is this extra wee bit. As you can see, I've got to unpick the holes. So that goes on like that. From there to there and there to there is a different size, so you've got to make sure it's the right way, or it doesn't. It'll fit, it'll still fit, I think, but it just won't look right. The first 2 holes that they recommend you do is this 2 holes here. Get them lined, because this bit here lines up with this, and as you see, there's a bend in it. So if that's sitting on there like that inside, what you have to do, you have to put the 2 holes screws in there first, and then you've got to carefully push this over and flatten it to match the curve, then put your other screws in. It's going to be nice and awkward. So I'm just going to get on with it. You just want it on a couple of threads, that's all. It does fit in and it sits in there quite neatly. Now, this little panel that I showed you earlier, if you can just see in there, I've actually got a clip in there that I need to take out. This plate, as I told you, if it goes one way it doesn't fit, if it goes the other way it fits. You can see in there, you can see the holes. You put it in this way, it fits. It sits on the handbrake mount very well. That's not the handbrake mount. That is you can see the handbrake mount up there, it's got the cutout for it. This mount here is where the fuses go. So if you're to put it the other way, you can see the holes don't line up. So you have to put it in the right way. Get the holes lined up. This is going to be awkward putting screws in this, but we'll get it. Yeah, I told you it was awkward. I don't know if I can get it from here. There we go. Oh. Now that the batteries are all replaced and I've a fresh cup of tea, I've tightened all these screws up there. All I've got to do is neatly fold the sound deadening pad so that it contours to that curve so that I can get the screws in there and there. And that's that done. What I'll do, I'll take you in and I'll show you. As you can see, all the screws, all the silver ones, that's all the screws holding the firewall pad on. And that's it in. You can see the curve. That was an absolute nightmare. That one up there was an absolute nightmare to get. And that's it in now. And a wee bit at the top there, a wee bit in the middle, that's all done. You've heard me going on about G503 on YouTube. This is the other one that I've been following just recently that I went back to it. It is called 1944mb.com, but they also do, I think it's like a, where we go. So they give a brief history of the Jeep, but you can see here, other websites, it's got the 42 GPW, 43, 44, 45, then it's got the 41 MB, 42, 43, 44, 45, Jarhead Jeep, I don't know what that is, and a trailer. If you go up here to, oh, was it restoring? Into restoring tab, you'll find all this, all the different bits and pieces, right? So we're on electrical, so expand. Then it'll give you a brief description of what these little links are for. Firewall grommets, generator, wiring harness. So if you go to that, there's 4 pages, step by step, fitting it. It even gives you a picture. You can zoom in. They're good quality pictures of where the clips go. Here he tells you. Yep. But the main thing is your wire push-pull. There we go. There's the wiring for the push-pull headlights. There is another one, rotary. It gives you it there. Fantastic. Really good quality as well. You know, you can zoom right in. And I can see that it's got MV spares. It's got Ron Fitzpatrick. They're obviously sponsoring it. That's our next step. Is to put the wiring loom in through the bulkhead and get this clipped on. That's the main thing I wanted. The wiring loom. The push-pull. So now you've seen that, let's put the wiring loom in. I don't know how much I'm going to get done to it today. I am not doing a step-by-step on this by putting each individual wire on. Go on to G503 on YouTube. Scott Schiller, he does a fantastic job of doing a step-by-step of each individual wire and the routing of it. I am just going to plug it in and join the wires up and then take you back when I've finished it and point the interesting bits out. As you can see here, the body wiring harness, that gives you it. And you can see that he's showing you each individual wiring. So, get in there. So, I think that's what he did with it. Let's get the wire in. That's it uncoiled. This is the long wiring loom. This end's got to go in through the dash and through the large hold grommet. And we'll put it in further than it should go. It usually goes to maybe about here, but put it in a bit further so we can wire the headlight switch up easier. Just give it a wee coil up, just put it to the side now. And there we go, that's the light, that's the harness in. Let a bit through. There we go. So basically what you want to do is you want to pull it through because you're not going to wire that end up yet. So you want to get this stuff done first. And if you pull it through, it saves you bending underneath the dash. And then once you've wired it up, then you can pull it through. I don't have that. Greens. Two red. There's a red there. Two tracers, three black. That's white. Black. I'll come back once I've done the light switch. All I'm going to do is just follow this step by step, as you should do, and I'll come back. Mine doesn't have a flat bit. Am I putting it in the right place? Light switch. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Mine doesn't have a flat bit. There's a notch. So we're just going to put the headlight switch in. I'm not going to tighten it up. I'm just going to put it in because there's wires still hanging from it. So I'm going to just put it in. And that gets it out the way. Now on my hole, it's definitely there. So you put the washer on first, and then you put the nut on. Now the nut side of it goes to the dash. My nice new adjustable wrench for doing this. That's all I'm doing. I'm not fully tightening it on. Perfect. Let's tighten that up a wee bit. Fully. And there we go. Light switch in, light switch on, and it won't go any further. Press the wee button, pull it out, pull it out. Perfect. That'll all tighten up once I've put it in for the final time. And fantastic. I've waited so long to get that in. I haven't even test fitted it on my dash because I wanted it done with the wiring on. Right, let's go over what I've done. That's me gone as far as I'm going to go today. As usual, got my recycling. Got the wiring, put an extra wire on while I was underneath on the light switch. It is the body wiring harness, left hand side short, that one there. Goes from the light switch to here, that one there. And it goes on to the junction block. And then that feeds to whatever it is, light switch, stop switch, blackout light. We've got that, I think that's the horn. Then once we're finished underneath, we'll pull out the harness as far as we need to. That wee bit in there is a body wiring harness clip. And then we feed it underneath and do the starter switch and the light switch underneath for the foot, the dip beam. We've got the foot switch in for the starter. We've got in the sound deadening, which looks fantastic. We've got in the map lights or panel lights. Then we've got a light switch in. Now, I've been looking forward to having this light switch in for a long time. Chuffed to bits. That's it in. We'll get it locked in next time, maybe once we've got the last of the wiring. And let's take a look underneath. Here it is from underneath. That's it from underneath. So we'll get more done to it. We've still got the blackout lights, we've still got panel lights and the ignition switch, and we've got all the dials. So we've still got a fair bit left on the wiring loom, and a lot of bits and pieces for the wiring loom. So now I'm going to tidy up, get ready to go home, and with that I'd like to thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.